Hello and welcome to FTT Chats. I'm Liz Lumley, and joining me today for a special in our Business Banking FTT Chat series is Helen Bierton, Chief Banking Officer at Starling Bank. Hello, Helen, how are you?
I'm great, thanks, Liz. Hello, nice to be chatting to you.
I know, it's so great now these days that we can at least have technology to chat, have a little bit of a human interaction in our strange.
No, we're getting close to the end of lockdown, and hopefully we'll be able to start mixing again a little bit.
Very good. So, of course, as I mentioned before, this is part of our FTT Chat Business Banking series. So, of course, I'm going to be talking to you about business banking and specifically SMEs, the SME space. So, I mean, one of the things I really wanted to talk with you about, as a banker is, the SME sector has long been considered kind of underserved by the traditional banking world for many, many years, because there's a sort of a wide variety of pain points that they have. How do you view that sector? What are some of their biggest challenges and pain points?
Oh, I think this is a really important sector, and we're delighted at Starling to be able to start thinking about those pain points and be able to start solving them, because especially during the last 12 months, I think businesses have been at the forefront of the challenges that we're facing, really. And what we tend to get some really frequent feedback about the pain points that businesses face, and it comes down very often to time. So the pain of, many of the businesses that I've spoken to talk about how they set up their business in order to follow a passion or because they were really interested in something, and then the challenges of running the business, getting the finance, they all start to seek into time and their ability to run their business. And time is a real pain point for SMEs. And we did a survey, and micro businesses were spending 15 hours a week just on the admin side of running their business. So we know that that's a real pain point, and trying to make it easy for them to address that. But I think the other one that's really come to light more so in the last 12 months than ever before is around business confidence and the significant amount of change that's going on, and their ability to adapt to that change and have the flexibility to adapt and be able to adapt quickly is becoming so much more important. So that, as well as the time aspect, creates an extra demand from an SME financing point of view, in terms of us as banks being able to respond quickly and meet that change and help give SMEs that level of confidence. So I think the concept of change and being able to adapt to change, and then the concept of time, are two real pain points that we hear when we talk to businesses.
I'm glad you talked about, sort of having that open conversation with a lot of the businesses that work with Starling, because I thought maybe you could go into a bit more detail about how a bank like yours goes about, solving some of those challenges and solving some of those pain points.
So I think there's two or three things that we really think about when we're trying to solve the problems, and the first is like really listening to our customers. So when the pandemic first started, very early on, we picked up this difficult. This isn't SME specific, but I think it tells the point quite well. This point around the challenge that people were having in terms of getting support, at getting access to shopping, particularly vulnerable people. And we had a solution in the form of our connected card that we'd been working on that was nearly ready to go, but our engineers really pulled the stops out to bring that out and really help customers at the time, giving potentially vulnerable customers access to the facility to be able to give somebody a card with lots of control, no access to cash, no access to online payments, but the ability to give somebody the chance to go and do their shopping for them. So I think for us, it's really about listening to our customers and then helping solve those pain problems. And then if I take that into the SME space, in how we've tried to build the products and the solutions that we've got for SMEs, let me take an example really in terms of getting access to an account. So what we've seen is businesses really pivot their businesses and use their skills. So we had one customer, BRD Waste Solutions, and this is a customer called Ben Daly who had an account with us, and he was a roofer, but he also had a license because he was a roofer to take people's waste to the tip. And when all the tips closed during lockdown, him and his wife said, well, his wife said, I've got friends who've got rubbish to get rid of. Can you go help them? So he went and set up a waste collection service, which was a brand new business, but it helped him sustain an income and build a new income. And with
It's called
Starling,
pivoting.
it's
Yeah.
pivoting. Exactly. But he needed to set up a new business account and he needed to move really quickly. So we've really tried to focus on the ability to open an account really quick, with very safe, but very quick, and in a way that's very easy for businesses. And it's a sometimes it's as simple as starting with the basics of an account opening experience. That hasn't been easy for businesses. And we've put a lot of time into trying to address that pain point. And I think if I pick up one more on the time aspect, technology has moved us on in a vast amounts of ways, and we've really tried to use our API technology in our marketplace to build integrations, and these work really well in the business space. Where you want to link your accounts to your accountancy services. And we're finding a lot of businesses telling us they're saving a lot of time because we've got real-time integrations. They're not having to check things. They're not having to wait to get a statement. They're in a real-time control of their finances, and they're having to do less admin. And we get really positive feedback on those types of areas.
Interesting. We started off our conversation where I mentioned that the SME market has long been considered to be underserved by traditional financial services, by the wider financial services world. But a lot of people have been talking about right at the moment, because of the pandemic, that there's been this accelerated special relationship that has been built up between banks, firms, and the SME sector. Have you seen this new relationship emerging and accelerated because of COVID?
Yes, is the simple answer. And I think what's really happened is that your customers have to come first. And I think that customers are realizing that their expectations should be met. And if you think about it from a relationship point of view, it's about that degree of understanding. So these SMEs have absolutely needed to be understood during these times, and I think their expectations have been raised, and they've, I think, more and more realized that their needs can be serviced through a relationship in different ways. And I think we've, to some extent, busted the myth that relationship is about a relationship manager. Relationship is about being understood, being served, getting access to what you need when you need it, and then being able to call on somebody for support. And I think that's what we've been doing since we started Starling. In trying to build a digital bank, we tried to address those needs from the start so that businesses are served and get access to the support they need 24/7 when they need it in real time. And then the concept of being served is more readily understood by them. Their eyes are opened as to what banking can actually be like, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to almost combine my next two questions because, when you mentioned, Starling was founded as a digital bank, but I mean, is there anything in particular from a digital perspective that SMEs are requesting that you're seeing?
I think what's interesting is, of course, the SME market is not homogenous, and I think that's one of the challenges of this market, because if you're a consultant, then your needs might be very different to somebody who's a hairdresser or a retail seller, and that's what's really interesting and exciting about the SME market. But I think one of the things that's in particular been very prominent, more so this year than previous years, is the need to access finance. And because business is not always, it's not always been about investment this year. It's been about that cushion and resilience and helping get them through and helping get to a point where hopefully their businesses will go back to some level of growth and will recover. And we've really had to move very quickly to offer access to finance this year. And with the government-led schemes and the bounce back loans and the coronavirus business interruption loans, being able to provide those services to businesses and provide access to that money very quickly has helped many businesses survive and invest and hopefully get through to the time when, and hopefully we're starting to see it now, we open up again and those businesses will survive. That's certainly our hope.
Mm. So you mentioned, I think earlier in your earlier answer about, busting the myth that it's all about the relationship manager. But, so we just had the digital question, but what about the human? Is there still a need for that human relationship between bank and SMEs? Is that still prioritized, or are people moving more towards sort of that quick, efficient digital offering that meets their needs a bit better?
I think what's behind a digital bank is humans, and and I think the human element is still vastly important. And I think, Liz, I'd like to go back to what we talked about around listening and understanding what businesses need, because when we build the digital bank and the features that we've got in it, it's because we've listened to our customers. So we've expanded our accounting integrations because they were popular and actually businesses had different uses. We launched check imaging because businesses still do get paid in checks, and we wanted the ability to pay that in. So there's a digital solution that's meeting a real life customer need. And I think I talked about making it really easy to apply. Some banks have stopped businesses opening accounts during the last few months. We've been able to stay open, so we've been able to keep supporting businesses, and that's because we've got a digital platform. So there are humans behind the digital bank, but I think it's about listening and providing the services that businesses need, and recognizing that not all businesses are the same, and different solutions will work for different businesses.
I like that very much. No matter how digital, there's always a human. There's always humans behind. I agree. So we're coming to the end of our discussion, and of course, I need to ask. This week was the big news that Starling Bank is now officially a unicorn in the fintech space with your recent round of funding from Fidelity. There was a lot of sort of talk about what Starling was going to use the funding for, expanding into lending and Europe and in different areas. Can you go into maybe a little bit more detail about what Starling's going to do with its unicorn status and its Series D funding round? What are we going to see next?
Well, we're all really thrilled to get that positive vote for Starling and continue to get the investment, and we're delighted with the funding round, and we've got big plans. You've mentioned a couple of them, so we're working on investment abroad and into Ireland, and we're going to continue growing in the UK, and we're going to continue bringing new products. Starling's here to really help as many customers as we can, and we believe in giving customers a much healthier financial life. So digital banking's reached a tipping point, I think, Liz, and we're delighted to have made that unicorn status, and hopefully, we'll use that money to go and help more businesses and more customers.
Excellent. Very good answer. Helen, thank you so much for sitting down with us for our special business banking series of FTT Chats. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Liz. It's been really nice to talk to you.